Chosen ones, you're about to receive a power so dangerous, God had to train you first. And if you're listening to this right now, it's not by accident, it's by alignment. There are seasons when heaven speaks softly and seasons when heaven interrupts everything. And this is one of those moments where your spirit was scheduled to hear this before your mind even caught up. You have walked through confusion that didn't make sense, delays that felt unnecessary, resistance that felt personal, and silence that tested your faith. And you kept asking why it had to be this hard when your heart was pure and your intentions were right. What you didn't realize is that power without preparation becomes destruction, and God is not reckless with what he places in your hands. You weren't being punished, you were being trained. You weren't overlooked, you were being hidden. You weren't delayed, you were being reinforced from the inside out. There are people who receive gifts quickly and lose themselves just as fast. And then there are chosen ones who are taken through fire, through isolation, through stripping seasons, where everything familiar is removed, because what's coming next requires a strength that cannot be borrowed, copied, or faked. The reason your training was intense is because the assignment attached to your life is not small. You're not stepping into ordinary influence. You're stepping into impact that shifts atmospheres, breaks cycles, and exposes darkness just by your presence. That kind of power attracts opposition. And heaven knew you had to be solid before you were visible. You were trained in the unseen moments, in the nights where you cried without an audience, in the days where you showed up strong while breaking inside, in the seasons where people misunderstood your silence and misjudged your boundaries. God watched how you handled loneliness, because leadership will require you to stand alone at times. God watched how you handled betrayal, because authority will provoke jealousy. God watched how you handled delay, because power demands patience. Every reaction, every choice, every time you decided not to become bitter, not to retaliate, not to compromise, it was all part of the training. There is a reason you had to unlearn people-pleasing, unlearn over-explaining, unlearn shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. The power you're about to receive cannot live inside a fearful container. God needed you to know who you are without applause, without validation, without instant results. That's why he removed certain voices, distanced certain relationships, and allowed doors to close that you prayed would stay open. If they had stayed, you would have relied on them instead of relying on the strength he was building within you. What's coming next is not just blessing, it's responsibility. It's not just favor, it's weight. And that's why the training felt heavy. You were taught discernment through disappointment. You were taught wisdom through loss. You were taught humility through waiting. And you were taught authority through obedience when nothing around you confirmed the promise. Many would have quit. Many did quit, but you stayed. Even when you doubted yourself, even when your faith felt fragile, something in you refused to let go completely. And heaven noticed this power is dangerous, not because it's evil, but because it's effective. It dismantles lies, it disrupts systems, it exposes falsehood, it activates truth in others just by proximity. And if God had released it too early, it would have crushed you or corrupted you. So he trained you in restraint. He trained you in silence. He trained you in self-control. You learned when not to speak, when not to react, when to walk away, when to wait. Those were not weaknesses, those were weapons being sharpened. You've been wondering why you feel different lately, why old desires don't satisfy you, why certain environments feel uncomfortable now, why your spirit feels restless yet focused. That's because the training phase is ending and the activation phase is approaching. You're becoming aware that you can't go back to who you were, because who you were could not carry what you're about to receive. Your tolerance for chaos has lowered. Your patience for surface-level conversations has faded. Your hunger for depth, truth, and purpose has increased. That's not isolation, that's elevation. Understand this clearly. Not everyone will celebrate the power on your life. Some will feel exposed by it. Some will feel threatened by it. Some will try to label you, limit you, or misunderstand you because it's easier than facing what your presence awakens in them. God trained you for that too. He trained you to stay grounded when praised and steady when criticized. He trained you to keep your heart clean when others project their wounds onto you. He trained you to forgive quickly so bitterness would never poison the power flowing through you. You were trained to move without ego, to lead without domination, to influence without manipulation. The power you're about to receive is anchored in humility, and that's why pride had to be stripped out of you early. You learned the hard way that talent alone is not enough, charisma alone is not enough, intelligence alone is not enough. Without character, power destroys. So God took time with you. He slowed you down when you wanted speed. He closed doors when you wanted access. He said no when you begged for yes, because he could see what you couldn't yet. There were moments you thought you missed your chance, Moments you thought you were falling behind, moments you thought others were passing you while you stayed stuck. But heaven was never racing the clock. Heaven was shaping the vessel. You weren't late, you were being aligned, and now something is shifting. You may not see it fully yet, but you can feel it. There's a quiet confidence rising. There's a clarity replacing confusion. There's a sense of readiness you didn't have before. Not arrogance, not rush, but readiness. This power will require you to stay connected to the source. You already learned what happens when you try to carry things alone. You already felt the exhaustion of self-reliance. That's why your prayer life deepened. That's why your inner world became more important than your outer image. God trained you to listen before acting, to discern before deciding, to seek wisdom before moving. The next phase will move faster, and without that foundation, speed would have destroyed you. Don't rush the unveiling. Don't announce what heaven is still aligning. You were trained to move in timing, not impulse. The power coming to you will open doors effortlessly, but it will also demand integrity consistently. You will be trusted with influence over hearts, over spaces, over conversations that change directions. And that's why your words had to be purified. You learned when to stay quiet so that when you speak, it carries weight. You learned how to speak life instead of ego, truth instead of reaction. There is a difference between being gifted and being chosen. Gifts attract attention, but choosing attracts responsibility. And you were chosen not because you were perfect, but because you were willing. Willing to grow, willing to repent, willing to learn, willing to stay soft in a hard world. God trained you to stay human while carrying something divine. That balance is rare, and that's why the process was lonely. Few people could walk with you where you were going. As this power begins to activate, you will notice alignment accelerating. Conversations will happen unexpectedly. Opportunities will appear without striving. Resistance will still exist, but it won't shake you the way it used to. You will respond, not react. You will move, not panic. You will trust, not chase. The training taught you that what is meant for you does not require force. Stay watchful, stay grounded, stay grateful. The training isn't something to forget. It's something to carry with you as a reminder of what it took to get here. You are not stepping into this season naive or untested. You are stepping in seasoned, aware, and anchored. And as the weight of this power settles on your life, you'll understand why God couldn't rush this process, why he had to train you first, why every tier very delay, every closed door was necessary, because what you're about to carry is not just for you, it's for the lives you will touch, the cycles you will break, and the paths you will open. And as you step forward, you will begin to notice that the very things that once tried to break you are now the things that give you authority, the wounds that taught you compassion, the silence that taught you discernment, the waiting that taught you trust. And you will feel a deeper awareness rising within you that this moment is only the beginning of something far greater than you imagine, something that will require you to remain attentive, surrendered, and ready, because the power being released is not meant to be handled casually, and the next steps unfolding before you will call you to walk with intention, clarity, and a level of spiritual maturity that continues to grow as you move forward, listening closely, staying aligned, and preparing your heart for what is still unfolding. Because even now, as you sense this unfolding, there is still another layer being formed within you, a refinement that happens not through noise, but through awareness. You are learning how to carry power without announcing it, how to walk into rooms without needing to dominate them, how to let presence speak louder than performance. This is not accidental. God is teaching you mastery over self before mastery over influence, because the greatest battles you will ever win are the ones that never happen. Towardly. They are the moments you choose peace over proving, restraint over reaction, wisdom over winning an argument. You were trained to recognize when ego tries to disguise itself as urgency. You were trained to pause when others rush. You were trained to sit with discomfort until clarity arrives instead of forcing answers that aren't ready. That's why your growth doesn't look loud to everyone else, but it feels deep to you. The transformation you've undergone isn't cosmetic, it's structural. God didn't polish you, he rebuilt you. He rewired how you think, how you trust, how you discern, how you love. And now, when pressure comes, you don't fracture the way you once did. You bend, you breathe, you recalibrate. That is strength. There were seasons when you felt like you were losing pieces of yourself, but in truth, you were shedding versions that could not survive where you're going. The power you're about to walk in would have magnified insecurity, exposed unhealed wounds, and amplified fear if God hadn't first taken you through the work of inner alignment. That's why healing came before elevation. That's why truth came before visibility. That's why solitude came before authority. You learned how to hear God in whispers because crowds can distort clarity. You learned how to trust intuition sharpened by prayer instead of opinions shaped by fear. You learned that not every open door is an assignment and not every opportunity is a line. Discernment became your protection. NCE became your strategy. Patience became your proof. And now, when things begin to move, you won't be intoxicated by speed because you understand the cost of misalignment. There is a calm that comes with readiness, and you're beginning to feel it. Not excitement that's frantic, not anticipation that's anxious, but a grounded awareness that something is aligning beyond your effort. You no longer chase confirmation because you carry conviction. You no longer need to convince others because you are convinced within yourself. This is what happens when training is complete enough for activation to begin. You may notice that some people who once had access to you no longer do. That's not punishment, that's protection. Your capacity has changed and access must change with it. Power demands boundaries. Influence requires discernment. And God trained you to say no without guilt, to walk away without drama, to disengage without hatred. These are not small skills, they are essential tools for the next phase. The reason the power is dangerous is because it removes excuses. It brings truth to the surface. It disrupts comfort zones, including your own. You will no longer be able to pretend you don't see what you see or feel what you feel. This power heightens awareness. It sharpens responsibility. And that's why God had to teach you obedience before influence. You learned how to follow so you could lead without arrogance. You learned how to submit so you could stand without fear. There will be moments ahead where your obedience won't make sense to others. Your restraint will be questioned. Your pace will be misunderstood. But you were trained not to require consensus to obey God. You were trained to move with conviction even when affirmation is absent. That training will protect you when the stakes are higher, when decisions carry more weight, when consequences affect more than just you. You are stepping into a season where what you say carries impact even when you don't intend it to. Words spoken casually will land deeply. Presence will shift moods. Silence will speak volumes. That's why your tongue was disciplined. That's why you learned the cost of careless speech. That's why you were corrected privately so you wouldn't be corrected publicly later. God is careful with those he trusts. You may feel moments of reverence mixed with awe as this power settles in, a sense of responsibility that humbles you rather than inflates you. That's the sign of healthy power. That's the evidence of proper training. You're not asking how high you can go anymore. You're asking how well you can steward what's given. That shift alone tells heaven you're ready for more. And even now, there are still lessons unfolding in subtle ways. You are learning how to rest without guilt, how to receive without suspicion, how to be present without anticipating loss. These may seem small, but they are critical. Power without rest leads to burnout. Power without trust leads to isolation. Were without presence leads to disconnection. God is making sure you are whole, not just effective. There will be times ahead when you feel the weight of expectation, not from God, but from people who sense something on you they cannot name. Some will project their hopes onto you. Some will project their fears. Some will expect answers you are not meant to give. Remember your training. You are not responsible for meeting expectations you didn't create. You are responsible for staying aligned with the one who trained you. You will notice that your compassion has depth now. You don't rush to judge because you understand process. You don't rush to label because you've lived complexity. This will make you a safe place for others, and that too is part of the power. Not all authority is loud. Some authority heals. Some authority stabilizes. Some authority simply makes others feel seen. You were trained for that kind of impact. As things continue to unfold, you may feel moments where old fears try to resurface. Whispers of doubt asking if you're truly ready, if you're capable, if you deserve this. Those voices are echoes, not indicators. They belong to seasons you outgrew. Your training taught you how to acknowledge them without obeying them. You don't fight them anymore, you outgrow them. There is also a deeper intimacy forming between you and God in this phase. Not desperation, not bargaining, but partnership. You listen differently now. You trust more deeply. You move with a worrying. SS rather than impulse. This is the relationship God wanted before releasing this level of power. Not transactional faith, but relational alignment. And still, even with all this preparation, humility remains essential. The training never truly ends. It evolves. Each level requires a new depth of surrender. Each increase requires a new level of integrity. And you are learning that growth is not about arrival, it's about responsiveness. How quickly you adjust, how deeply you listen, how willingly you yield. There will be moments when you are tempted to rely on what worked before, but God will call you forward instead. The power you're receiving is not static, it's dynamic. It requires movement, attentiveness, and courage. You won't be able to coast on past victories or old strategies. The training taught you adaptability. It taught you how to let go without fear. As this season continues to open, you will feel a stronger pull toward purpose-driven choices. Convenience will lose its appeal. Comfort will no longer satisfy. You will feel an inner nudge toward things that stretch you, challenge you, and require faith. That is not restlessness, that is alignment activating. You are not stepping into chaos, you are stepping into clarity. Even when circumstances feel intense, your inner world remains anchored. That is the result of the training. Storms no longer dictate your identity. Opposition no longer defines your direction. You have learned how to remain centered while everything around you shifts. And as this power continues to integrate into your life, you will begin to recognize moments where heaven is inviting you to step forward gently, intentionally, without force. These invitations won't always look dramatic. Sometimes they will come as a quiet knowing, a subtle redirection, a simple yes that changes everything. Your training taught you to recognize those moments. There is still unfolding ahead, still revelation, still responsibility, still growth. And as you continue to walk, you will sense that the path is narrowing, not because options are disappearing, but because focus is increasing. Distraction no longer has the same pull. Noise no longer has the same power. You are becoming more attuned, more aligned, more aware of the weight you carry in the direction you're removing. And as you remain attentive to that inner guidance, you will notice that the next steps are not revealed all at once, but gradually, inviting you to stay present, to stay surrendered, and to continue moving forward with the same humility, discipline, and trust that carried you through the training, knowing that what is still ahead will require the same depth of awareness, the same steadiness of heart, and the same willingness to listen as the power continues to unfold in ways you are only beginning to perceive. Because even as you move forward, there is an ongoing refinement happening beneath the surface, a quiet shaping that keeps your spirit sensitive and your motives lean. You are learning that power is not proven by how much you can do, but by how much you can carry without losing yourself. This understanding didn't come overnight. It came through seasons where you were stretched thin, where responsibilities felt heavy, where expectations pressed against your limits, and yet you discovered that you could endure without hardening your heart. That endurance was part of the training. You were taught how to stand in truth without becoming rigid, how to hold convictions without losing compassion. That balance is rare, and it's one of the reasons your process took longer than you expected. God wasn't just preparing you to act. He was preparing you to respond wisely when others act poorly. You learned how to stay centered when chaos tries to pull you off balance. You learned how to recognize when something demands your energy and when it's meant to pass without engagement. These are the skills that protect power from misuse. There were moments when you felt invisible, overlooked, or underestimated, but invisibility became a classroom. It taught you how to work without recognition, how to serve without applause, how to remain faithful when no one is watching. That kind of faithfulness builds credibility in the unseen, and unseen credibility sustains visible authority. God trusted you with obscurity because He knew you wouldn't waste visibility when it came. You also learned how to sit with unanswered questions without letting doubt take over. That's not passive faith, that's mature faith. You stopped demanding explanations for every delay and started trusting the character of the one guiding you. That shift changed everything. It freed you from anxiety-driven decisions and anchored you in peace-driven movement. The power you're stepping into responds to peace, not pressure. There is a reason you became more selective with your time and energy. You didn't grow cold, you grew discerning. You realize that not every conversation deserves access to your inner world. Not every opinion deserves a response. Not every invitation deserves a yes. That discernment will become even more important as influence increases. Power attracts demand, and without boundaries, demand becomes drain. God trained you to protect what matters without apology. You are also learning that rest is not a reward, it's a requirement. The old version of you equated rest with laziness, slowing down with falling behind. But the training rewired that mindset. You learn that clarity often comes in stillness, that strength is renewed in quiet, that wisdom deepens when you pause. This will sustain you when the pace quickens. As this power continues to integrate, you may feel moments where joy feels quieter but deeper, less explosive but more stable. That's because your emotional world is maturing alongside your spiritual one. You're no longer driven by highs and lows. WS, you're anchored. That anchor will hold when storms come, and storms will come not to destroy you, but to demonstrate what you carry. You will notice that your empathy has sharpened. You can sense when someone is speaking from pain rather than truth, when anger masks fear, when confidence hides insecurity. This insight isn't meant to make you judgmental. It's meant to make you gentle. Power paired with gentleness becomes healing. Power paired with ego becomes harm. God trained you for healing. There will be moments ahead where your presence alone will calm situations you didn't create. You won't always know why, but your steadiness will regulate others. That's not coincidence. That's authority expressed quietly. You were trained to become a stabilizing force, not a reactive one. You may also feel a deeper responsibility to live with integrity, even in small things. Corners you once might have cut now feel uncomfortable. Compromises that once felt harmless now feel heavy. That's because your conscience has been refined. Power sharpens sensitivity. God trained you to listen to that inner check before it becomes an outer consequence. As you move forward, you'll notice that timing matters more than ever. Acting too early feels wrong. Acting too late feels heavy. You are becoming attuned to divine timing, to moments that open naturally rather than being forced. This sensitivity was forged through waiting. Waiting taught you how to recognize readiness. There will be opportunity, ties that look impressive on the surface but feel empty beneath. There will be paths that promise speed but cost alignment. Your training prepared you to walk away from what looks good in order to stay faithful to what is right. That discipline will preserve your power. You may also encounter resistance that doesn't look like opposition, but like distraction. Busyness that pulls you away from depth. Noise that dulls discernment. Familiar comforts that tempt you to settle. Remember what you were trained for. Remember the weight you carry. Remember that not everything that feels good leads forward. There is an increasing call on your life to model what grounded power looks like. Not perfection, but authenticity. Not dominance, but consistency. People will watch how you handle stress, how you treat those who can't benefit you, how you respond when things don't go your way. These moments speak louder than any title or role. You are also learning that vulnerability is not weakness when it's rooted in truth. Sharing from a healed place creates connection, not dependency. God trained you to know the difference. You learn how to guard your heart without closing it. That balance will make you approachable without making you accessible to harm. As the journey continues, you may feel moments of awe mixed with humility as you realize how far you've come. Not in comparison to others, but in comparison to who you used to be. The reactions that no longer control you, the fears that no longer paralyze you, the patterns that no longer define you. These are markers of true growth. There will be times when you're tempted to rush ahead because things feel aligned, but patience will remain your ally. Power matures best when it's allowed to integrate fully. God is not in a hurry, and neither are you anymore. You understand that sustainability matters more than spectacle. You may notice that your prayers have changed. Less asking, more listening. Less urgency, more trust. Less focus on outcomes, more focus on alignment. This shift reflects intimacy. You are no longer trying to convince God. You are learning to cooperate with Him. That cooperation unlocks clarity. As influence increases, humility must deepen. The training instilled this truth early. You learn that being teachable keeps you sharp, that correction refines rather than diminishes you, that growth requires openness. This posture will keep you from stagnation. You will also find that your standards have risen, not out of judgment, but out of self-respect. You no longer tolerate what drains you, confuses you, or compromises your values. This isn't isolation, it's stewardship. Power requires a clean environment to function well. There may be moments when you feel misunderstood even as you are effective. That tension is part of leadership. You were trained to accept that understanding is not always immediate. Your role is to remain faithful, not to be fully understood. As this power continues to unfeff, you'll sense that your life is becoming less about proving and more about positioning. Being in the right place with the right posture at the right time, you no longer force doors. You recognize when doors open naturally. The training also taught you resilience without rigidity. When plans shift, you adapt. When expectations change, you adjust. When challenges arise, you respond with wisdom rather than panic. This flexibility keeps you effective in changing environments. You are also learning to celebrate progress without becoming complacent. Gratitude grounds you. Reflection keeps you aware. You honor the process without idolizing the outcome. There is still more unfolding ahead, more responsibility, more insight, more refinement. And as you continue, you will notice that your confidence is quieter but stronger. Not dependent on circumstances, not shaken by opinions. It's rooted. You are walking with an awareness that what you carry is not just for personal fulfillment, but for collective impact. That awareness keeps you humble and focused. It reminds you that power is a trust, not a possession. And as the path continues to open, you will keep encountering moments that invite you to choose alignment over comfort, integrity over convenience, depth over distraction. Each choice reinforces the training. Each step strengthens the foundation. This journey is not about arrival, it's about ongoing responsiveness. Staying attentive, staying teachable, staying anchored. And as you move forward, you will continue to sense that the power being revealed is not something you wield recklessly, but something you steward carefully, thoughtfully, and intentionally, remaining aware that every step forward calls for the same humility, the same discernment, and the same surrendered heart that carried you through the training. As the unfolding continues and the next layers of purpose, responsibility, and clarity begin to reveal themselves in ways that require you to stay present, grounded, and deeply aligned. Now hear this clearly as you stand at the edge of what has been forming all along. Nothing in your life was wasted, delayed, or misplaced. Every season trained you to carry what is now awakening within you. You are not stepping forward unsure or unprepared. You are stepping forward forged, refined, and anchored. The power being entrusted to you will not come with noise, but with authority that settles deep in your spirit, guiding your steps, sharpening your discernment, and steadying your heart. Walk gently but confidently. Stay surrendered but decisive. Remember the training when the momentum increases. Remember the stillness when the pace accelerates. And remember the source when the results begin to show. What God is releasing through you will not just change circumstances, it will change lives, including your own. And as you move ahead with humility, obedience, and awareness, you will discover that the very power once hidden within you now flows with purpose, restraint, and clarity, confirming that the training was necessary, the timing was perfect, and the calling unfolding before you is exactly what your life was shaped to carry.